Good morning, it's Sarah and it's time for our live video chat. Now you'll notice there was a picture of roses that were crocheted at the beginning of the video, and that's because today we're going to do a live crochet together and crochet a rose. Now what you're going to need is your H hook, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook, and any kind of worsted weight number 4 that you have on hand. Now we're going to kind of do our live video chat in reverse because I want to give everybody time to get here so that we can crochet our rose together. And I see a bunch of you already popping in. Terry Ann, Carol, Michelle, Tina, Dana, Sharon, Trish, I'm so glad you're all here. And make sure that you clink in. Look at that, it says coffee time. Because this short time every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m. Mountain Time is our live crochet together, but it's also our coffee time. And I heard a rumor the other day that some of you don't like coffee. Ah! Just kidding. If you drink cold coffee or tea, or you just want to drink a Dr. Pepper, that's okay too. All right. Good morning, Susie. You popped in. I missed you. All right. So since we're going to do everything in reverse, and I do want to apologize, it's really, really windy. And so you may hear a gust of wind every now and then. Don't worry. It's just this crazy weather we have here in Colorado. Okay. So let's talk about what's happening on the YouTube channel and Crochet Patterns first. That way everyone can get here and then we can do our crochet rows together. Okay. Well, yesterday we did lesson number 8 in our Back to Crochet Basics, and we made these cute little bows. What do you think? They're fun little bows, and we learned what the front loop and back loop is and how to crochet in the front loop and back loop. We did that yesterday for our Back to Crochet Basics lessons, and we're up to lesson 8 now, and we only have 12 lessons. And if you've missed out on those, don't panic. Just go to my you can go to the photos on Facebook, and there's a whole group of photos in there that has all the links that you can find. It's also on my blog. Right at the top it says Back to Crochet Basics. All the blogs and videos are listed in there, and then you can also find it on my YouTube channel in my playlist. So I've tried to put it everywhere so that you can find it. Hi Janice and Judy and Tammy and Jeannie. I'm so glad you're all popping in. Now the other thing we did this last week was my summer flower. I call it a doily, but if you make it out of cotton, you can use it for a washcloth. And these are worsted weight number 4 yarns, just assorted colors. These look like a daisy and a sunflower. And then this one is made out of the new Red Heart Smoothie cotton. So we did that. That's a video that's on the YouTube, and you can also find it free pattern on my blog. All right, let me pop those down there. We also did these dish towels with the toppers. And this is to go with the washcloth that we did, I think it was like a week and a half ago. And I had a request for this, and I already had one called the Christmas, I think it was Christmas Candy Towel, striped towel. And so I just did it in non-Christmas colors so that you have the video. You can do it in Christmas colors if you want to, but you don't have to. And that's one thing I try really hard to remind people that, you know, if it's a Christmas pattern and they've made the scarf in all red and green, you don't have to do it in those colors. Just stay within the weight of the yarn and use the right hook, and you can make it in any colors that you want to. Let your creative juices flow. All right, so is everybody here? I see Terry's here. And did everybody clink in? Clink. All right, I'm going to take a little sip of my coffee. And oh, there's one other thing I wanted to show you. If you see this Afghan behind me, now remember we did these American flag granny squares, and I decided to make it into a blanket, and I just made some great big squares and then hooked them all together. And that's also a pattern that's on my blog. I've got it all written out there with the links where they need to go so that you can do that one as well. If you're always looking for what we did and what we talked about on our live video chats, when I put it on YouTube, I always put the blog link, and I had a request that from now on, when I, because they're on Facebook first, to put the blog link when we're done. So I'm going to try to remember to do that for you. That way you have all the patterns that we talked about and all the videos that we talked about. And also we're going to get ready to do this rose, and I've got a couple of pictures there because some people really like a picture to look at opposed to just looking at it on video. And so I've got a couple of pictures on the blog, and again, I'll put that blog link so that you can find that. And anytime I do a video on YouTube, remember there's a little arrow under the video, and I'm going to say try to remember. I really do try to remember to put that link in there so that you can click on it and look at the pattern as well. Because, I'm not perfect, and I may accidentally say single crochet when I mean double, and I try to catch all that stuff. But, like today when we're going to do this live, just bear with me. It's going to be a lot of fun. It really is. I really enjoyed the last one that we did, and I really want to try to do one every few weeks or so, just because it's fun to crochet something together. All right, so what you're going to need, I'm going to go ahead and click down to the other cam where we're going to do the demonstration, and scoot over here and grab my glasses so I can see. Now what you'll see here is a bunch of roses that I already made. And this one I did with 2 strands of worsted weight instead of 1, so it came out a lot bigger. This one is done with the chunky yarn. And you can do variegateds. This one is a variegated. This one is a sparkle. So you can do these in any color of yarn that you have. Now for today's demonstration, I'm going to move this out of the way. We're going to be using worsted weight yarn, which is number 4. Red Heart with Love is what we're using today. Now, if you want to make it bigger, you can use a bigger yarn, and if you do, make sure you check on that yarn to get the right hook to correspond with that yarn. We're going to be using, like I said, the worsted weight number 4 yarn, so we're going to use an H hook. The H hook is called the H8, which is a 5.00 millimeter crochet hook. You're going to need a needle with a nice big eye, and then of course you'll need your scissors. All right, let me move a few things out of the way. Now to get started, what we're going to do is begin with our slip knot, and then we're going to chain 38 chains. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So there's my first 10 chains. All right, so there's my second 10. 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 30, and I need to do 8 more chains. All right, so now I have 38 chains. Now I know I chained that just a little bit fast, but that's okay. You just kind of go along with us as you can. All right, so we have 38 chains. We're going to begin stitching in the second chain from the hook. Never count the loop that's on your hook. Begin with the first chain, and we're going to go in the second chain and stitch a single crochet. So I'm going to put my hook through. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn over, and go through both loops. And we're going to single crochet all the way across those chains. Now remember, we started in the second chain from the hook, so we're going to have only 37 chains, even though we started with 38 because we skipped our first chain. So I'm just going to place a single crochet in each stitch across. Now if you don't have your yarn and your hook with you and you're just watching along, you can always watch this again later. Share it around. I like for my videos to be shared around. Share it with your friends and your other yarny and crochet people that love to do yarny things. All right, so I'm just going to single crochet right down this chain. righty. Whoopsie. Another thing I wanted to tell you is that you can also use cotton yarn. And if you're making something like maybe a cotton hat and you wanted to add a little cotton rose, you can use cotton yarn also. The truth is you can use any yarn that you want to. Just make sure that your hook corresponds with the yarn. And if you're not sure, on your packaging, the label, there's a little square and it will show you a crochet hook and it will tell you what size they recommend. Now, I don't always go with the sizes that they recommend. Sometimes I do my own thing, and sometimes it depends on the look I'm looking for. If I want something open and loose, or if I want something really snug and tight stitched, then I'll change my hook. But for the most part, every skein of yarn will tell you the recommendation for the crochet hook. All right, so I'm almost done with my single crochets across my chain. And I know I'm probably going a little bit fast, and so you go at your pace, and don't worry. Everybody crochets at a different pace. All right, so we chained 38 chains. We began in the second chain from the hook, and then we stitched one single crochet in each stitch across, and that gave us 37 single crochets. All right, so now we're going to chain one and turn. And this is the row we're going to do the shell stitches on so that we have what looks like a rose petal. All right, so the first single crochet, we're going to stitch a slip stitch. So go in, pull up a loop, and then pull that loop through the loop that's already on your hook. All right, we're going to skip the next single crochet, and then we're going to stitch 4 double crochets in the next stitch. So yarn over, here's the one we're skipping, and so we'll go in the next one and we'll stitch a double crochet. Yarn over, go in the same stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, go through the first 2, yarn over, and go through the second 2. And we're going to stitch 4 double crochets in the same stitch. All right, so we stitched 1, 2, 3, 4 double crochets in that same stitch. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to stitch a slip stitch in the next. So we'll go in, pull up a loop, and pull that loop through the loop on our hook. And there's our first petal. All right, so now we're going to repeat this all the way across. We're going to skip the next stitch, and then we're going to stitch 4 double crochets in the next stitch. 1, 2, whoops, 3, and 4. All right, we're going to skip the next stitch and slip stitch in the next. Now we've made 2 petals, and you can see how it's forming those nice little petals. I just think it's so pretty. All right, skip the next stitch and 4 double crochets in the next. And we're going to repeat this all the way across this row. And I know what you're thinking. We're stitching it out flat. How in the world will that become a rose? But it will. It's a trick. It's not really. We're going to roll it up. You'll see. It'll be so pretty. Whoops, got some strings there. There we go. So you could put these on a handbag, on a headband, on a hat. You could put it on scarves. You could put a whole grouping of them on a beautiful shawl. So these roses have lots and lots of possibilities. You could put them on stems and put them into a nice flower arrangement. And I think they're so pretty when they're grouped up. All right, is anybody crocheting with me out there? I hope you are, and if you aren't, that you'll come back and do this later, because this is just a fun little rose, and it's super easy to make. And I like to do projects that look complicated but aren't. All right, we're almost to the end. I'm just going to finish up this row. All right, skip, slip stitch, skip, and 4 double crochets. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now I did write this whole pattern out on that blog so that if I'm going too fast or Michelle says the phone rang, well, you come back and join back in with us, Michelle, when you get a minute. Good morning, Missy. I didn't see you pop in. All right, let's do the last shell. 4 double crochets. And we'll skip that next one and we'll put a slip stitch in the last. Whoops. Don't you love it when you get a string? There we go. Try that again. Slip stitch in the last. All right, now when you cut this piece of yarn, I want you to leave yourself about an 18-inch tail of yarn. And that's because we're going to use this piece of yarn to stitch up our rows into, once we roll it up, to stitch it together. So I'm going to go ahead and tie that off, snug that down. And here is the rows uncurled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You should have 9 petals. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to thread that long thing, the long tail that we just cut, and we're going to thread, I guess I need to put it on the right side of my needle there, huh? We're going to thread that onto our needle, and now we're going to form it into a rose. So my hook wants to follow me around. So what we're going to do is we're going to bend the first one in half, the first shell, and we're just going to go through the bottom where those single crochet stitches are, and I'm just going to put 2 quick whip stitches. And now we're going to just roll it up, and I usually do 2 like this, and then you go back through and stitch a couple of stitches. And I just call these stay stitches because it just keeps it where it needs to go and won't let it come apart. Okay, so we're going to roll again, 1 and 2, and now it's getting bigger. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go kind of around the edge because we want this rose to stay put. We don't want it to come apart. All right, now we'll go across, and you put as many stitches as you want to where you're comfortable that your rose isn't going to come apart. All right, so then we'll roll a couple more, and we'll just sort of stitch around those edges. So I'm just making whip stitches. All right, and now we've come to the end, and we'll just finish whip stitching around. We want to make sure we get that last bit where our beginning was. And then I kind of take a look at it. See, there's the rose. Isn't that pretty? Push that down just a little. There's our rose. And I kind of give it a look, make sure everything's going to stay put. And then I take these 2. This is where we began with the beginning tail and our ending tail. And I just make a couple of knots. I know you're not supposed to knot crochet, but on this particular one, I do. Now, if you're worried that that little knot right there is going to come out, you can put a little dab of fray check or fabric glue, or even just a dab of hot glue, and that will keep that knot from coming undone. And now you have 2 choices. You can cut the strings off and add a pen, or you can leave them on and use these strings to sew them onto something. What I like to do is go ahead and clip those. And then I bought this kind of safety pin. And I really like this because it doesn't have that extra curl in the bottom that gets snagged. And so what I'll do is I'll just take that safety pin and I'll stick it in the bottom of each one of my roses. That way I can just pin it on to a hat or a scarf or a shawl or whatever. And then if it's made out of something different, or if I just don't want to wash this rose, I can pull that off and wash the jacket or the sweater that I'm wearing. And sometimes I'll group a couple of them up together. This one still has the string on it. And I'll group a couple together like this maybe and put it on the corner of my sleeve of my sweater. So they have lots of great possibilities just to add a little extra touch of fun and flair. Pop off my glasses. A little extra fun and flair to anything that you want to add these roses to. They're easy, they're quick, and it's also a really great way to use up a lot of your leftover yarns because, like I said, you can make them out of any weight of yarn. Just make sure that your crochet hook corresponds with your yarn, and you can make them out of cotton or wool or worsted weight or whatever that you want to. Just remember, if you're going to put it on something that's going to be washed a lot, you might want to do the pin thing. Now, I forgot to tell you, I purchased these pins, the ones that don't have that extra curl in the bottom. I purchased them at Hobby Lobby over in the beading aisle. And I happened to just be walking through there. And they're used for making little bracelets where you put the beads on and then hook the beads together. And or the pins together, I mean. And I thought, oh, what a great thing to use, because that little extra curl in the end of the safety pin always gets caught in the string or in the yarn. So anyway, that is our crochet together. I hope you really liked it. I just think it's a lot of fun to do that. Now, I really would like for you to post your pictures when you make them. You can post them either to the Posh Pooch Designs page, or you can post them to the PPD Puppy Love Crochet group. Both of them are fine. You can post them there. But one thing to remember, I did have a little trouble with some spammy things that was inappropriate. And so I have to approve every picture, but don't worry about it. I will definitely approve your pictures of your roses. And so I would love, love, love to see them. I love it when people post their pictures of things that are off my patterns. It's just fun for me. And so I hope you'll make a bunch of these. Use them on hats and scarves and shawls and purses and just anything that you want. Make a bouquet. All right, was there anyone that I missed that didn't clink in? Let's see. I got Missy, Leslie, Aurora, Judy. Oh, I got you, Judy. Good morning. Tara, I'm so glad you're all here. Here's our double clink, clinkety clink. And remember, I wish I could make that be at 9:30. Don't you? Wouldn't that be fun? All right, so the last thing I wanted to talk to you about before we left, or before we finished the video, is I asked the question over on my Facebook page. I asked the question, why do you crochet? Because I was just really curious what some of the answers would be. And I really, really loved some of the answers. Some people said I crochet to relax. It de-stresses me from the day at work, and I can sit down for a few minutes and block out the world. And I really liked that answer. Another person said it saved me from depression. And I love that answer, because if anybody can be saved by depression through crochet, that is an amazing thing. It really, really is. Crochet has such a healing effect. And I think also knitting and some of the other hand beading and things that you can just relax and do. I just love that. Another one said, it helps me not to worry so much because I love to make things for other people, and it puts my mind on other people instead of my own worries. And I like that answer too. Another one is, I like this one. Why do you crochet? Because I can. I like that. Not everybody can catch on and do crochet. And I really, really hope people will try crochet, because it really does help me de-stress, block out the things of the world and life and issues. And, you know, and sometimes when you're making something for somebody else, you can think about that person. And remember, my mom and my oldest sister passed on to heaven now, but I still have things that I made for them that when I was making for them, I thought about them, and I was like, I really was blessed to have a great mom and a great older sister. Not everybody gets that blessing, So anyway, I want to know why you guys crochet. Tell me what it is. And you don't have to put a big long paragraph. I just want to know, because I love crochet and I love yarn, and I just want to know why you do, why you crochet. You can put that in the comments under the video, and I'll be happy to read them. It's just one of those things that I just really love crochet, and I want everyone to do it. I think everyone should pick up a hook and pick up some yarn and just create something. You don't have to be perfect, because remember, crochet is an art. Now, we like to strive for perfection, but we don't have to be perfect. What do you think about this one, this rose? I had some leftover bright colors, and I thought, oh, this is so much fun, so I put it on my green shirt. Anyway, that is our live video today. I'm so glad you all were here with me today. Thank you for crocheting along your rows. And remember, post some pictures so that I can see them. And I hope everyone has a wonderful, wonderful week. And I'll see you next week.